It's time for our talk on health and temperance again. And normally I talk about our 8 natural laws of health and that sort of thing. And I hope that some of you have seen my article in the newsletter on that subject. But I thought this morning I'd talk about something a little more like current events and what's going on. I found that this month, October, is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. As if anyone is still unaware that there's such a thing. But it is a very important thing, and of course I'm wearing a pink tie today, so that's significant. That shows something, I guess. But we're told that on the billboards, TV, magazine ads, they tell us that we can beat this thing. We can beat breast cancer. All we need to do is just send more money for research. And ladies should get regular mammograms, should take drugs, and have radical mastectomies. I even have a dear friend that I went to college with that she had perfectly healthy breasts, but because her mother had had breast cancer, she went and had hers removed. And I thought, where have we come from that we think that God made us wrong, that we've got to go correct it before anything actually happens? And of course, we can all wear pink ribbons, and that's going to save us. Now, you know, breast cancer is the most common cancer diagnosed in the United States after skin cancer. It's the second leading cause of cancer deaths in women today after lung cancer. According to the American Cancer Society, more than 230,000 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer annually in the United States, and more than 39,000 will die. As far as taking drugs is concerned, many women of menopausal age have taken Premarin, a drug that's supposedly an estrogen substitute. But it turns out that it also causes breast cancer. It also causes endometrial cancer and lung cancer. And according to the label on Premarin, it's that users can develop endometrial cancer at a rate of 2 to 12 times greater than non-users. The longer a woman stays on Premarin, the more likely it is that she'll be developing other cancers. Now, to anyone that might be thinking of using Premarin, let me say it gets its name, Premarin, from pregnant mare's urine, and that's where it comes from a horse. Now, about mammograms. The USPS task force, I'm not quite sure what that acronym refers to, but it found that radiation-related breast cancers occur at least 10 years after exposure. Radiation from yearly mammograms occurs during ages 40 to 49 has been estimated to cause 1 additional breast cancer death per 10,000 women. The National Cancer Institute states that among women under 35, mammography could cause 75 cases of breast cancer for every 15 it identifies. That's not very good odds, ladies. So it might be a good idea to stay away from. There's very little reason to have regular mammograms and plenty of reasons not to. So, what else can women do to prevent breast cancer? Aside from giving money for research and wearing a pink ribbon and such. Well, number one, they can avoid mammograms, avoid drugs, adopt a healthful lifestyle. That's the 8 natural laws of health that Ellen White wrote so voluminously about. And this last one, I've come to realize from listening to several doctors and their reports on it, that women that are married, you should shore up your marriage. These doctors that I've seen contend that 100% of the breast cancer victims that came to them, they ultimately found out had bad marriages. Remember what Ellen White wrote, that 90% of the diseases we get have their origins in the mind, and that stress and being upset and angry and that sort of thing depresses the immune system way, way down to where it's totally ineffectual. So it makes sense that if you're not happy in your marriage, and that's many people Probably even some in here have known what that's like at one time or other. That can do terrible things to your health. And men, I want to speak to you. You are responsible for your wife's health. If you treat your queen like a queen, she's going to treat you like a king. She'll be happy and she won't have breast cancer. So you see, I do care about women. She told me I didn't like women the other day. And I said, yes, I do. Some of my best friends are women. I was thinking of my wife and daughter and granddaughter at the time, but many others too. Also, you probably heard that there's a virus called Ebola on the loose, and it's coming out of West Africa, and it's here. It's here in the United States. One man flew in from West Africa to Dallas, Texas, and now there's 100 people at risk there, and they're trying to cover that up, but they've not canceled the flights from those places to our country as they have to certain European countries. So they're still coming in here. Now they've started to screen people at the airports for the symptoms of Ebola, which is a good start. It used to be when we'd have people come to our shores, they'd come in through Ellis Island and make them stay there until they checked them over physically. If they looked like they had symptoms, they'd be quarantined for 3 weeks to see if they developed something else. That's always been the case for epidemics, is you quarantine. But for some reason, we decided not to do that. And so that's kind of scary. There have been over 4,000 deaths now from Ebola, and up getting close to 10,000 cases that are looking at in 8 countries. It's now in Spain as well as the U.S. that I know of, other than West Africa. And the bad thing about Ebola is there's no vaccine, as if that would help, and there's no treatment. And the fatality rate is estimated to be 90%. So it's a scary thing coming. Now, I'm not up here to make you feel afraid. You know, they had scary things back in the days of ancient Egypt. And the people there got them all. They had these diseases because they had the lifestyle of the Egyptians. But as soon as God took his people out of Egypt and in the wilderness, they adopted a healthful lifestyle. And guess what? They didn't have any of those diseases anymore. Not a one. There wasn't anybody sick in the whole, 3 or 4 million of them. So there's yes, go ahead. So that's today. Well, the one guy in Texas that came over with it is dead now, so we don't need to pray for him. But yeah, I got to hand it to these doctors that go over there into those places and try to help them. Now, we've sent our troops over there. I guess they're going to shoot the Ebola back virus or something. There's more of them than there are fighting ISIS over there in Iraq. But I know sometimes you hear it called ISIL. Does anybody know where that ISIL comes from instead of ISIS? It's the Islamic State of Iraq and Levant rather than Syria. Levant is the Muslim word for the land of Canaan, which includes Israel. So if you hear somebody use Levant, it's because they want Israel to be taken over by the Muslims. Or so it seems to me. Why else would they call it that? Okay, what can you do about the Ebola virus? Can you hope for a vaccine, try to stay isolated, and all that sort of thing? Well, once again, it's the same cure for all the maladies. The 8 natural laws of health. Keep yourself healthy. Build up a strong offense against diseases. And how are you going to do that? Well, number one, you stimulate your immune system with things like echinacea. That's an herb that will stimulate your immune system, cause you to manufacture more immune cells and more immune chemicals. Second thing you can do is, this author says, nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. And he goes on to say, you cannot build immune cells and immune chemicals from beer and pizza. You need to consume as much organic and raw nutrient-dense fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, and legumes in your diet. That and the other natural laws of health like your rest, sleep, fresh air, sunshine. Do all of those things and have a great attitude and trust in God, and these diseases won't come near you. As our teacher Hector was saying this morning, he's talking about Maritza's garden that she's planting. And she looked at all the nice new plants coming up, and he's saying, well, I wonder when all of the worms and diseases are going to start attacking and killing the plants. And as a gardener, I well know how that happens. But years ago, I learned from a very smart man in gardening that plants, like humans, the diseases only attack the sick ones. So if you keep the plant healthy, give it all the nutrients it needs, you get sunshine and water and all these other good things, it will resist the bugs and the diseases. The bugs don't like the taste of it. So think of yourself as a healthy plant and make yourself where the bugs don't like to dine on you. And lastly, let's talk about flu. You know, we're coming into the flu season again, and it's a pretty serious thing. I've had the flu a few times, and although it's not so bad as some things, but this article says that 50,000 people will be dead from flu in the next 180 days. That's pretty serious stuff. That's 4 times higher than the murder rate, and more than all the people killed in automobile and other accidents. There's more people killed each year than the people from breast cancer or prostate cancer, and much more than the amount of people who will die from tetanus, STDs, airline crashes, Lyme disease, et cetera, et cetera. And there will be 1 billion people infected. That means that 4 million Americans will get sick every day this winter. The average American will get over 3 infections in the next 6 months. The fact is that 250,000 Americans will be hospitalized with this flu. Now that's some pretty horrific stuff. Now what can we do about it? Well, they tell you to, you're seeing these signs everywhere, get your flu shots here. You've heard me talk about this, and some people given to understand were offended that I said this stuff doesn't work, but I'm sorry. I've got evidence here that even the former head of the FDA the name is Dr. J. Anthony Morris, former Chief Vaccine Control Officer of the FDA, has stated there is no evidence that any influenza vaccine thus far developed is effective in preventing or mitigating any attack of influenzas. The producers of these vaccines know that they are worthless, but they go on selling them anyway. Now that's from the guy that's ahead of it at the FDA. So, what do we do? Last year, there were 93,000 reports of reactions, hospitalizations, and injuries, and over 1,000 deaths due to the flu vaccine. The latest flu vaccines contain, are you ready for this? Inactive dog kidney cells and DNA, as well as beta-propiolactone, a known carcinogen. Formaldehyde, which is also an embalming fluid and causes cancer, and mercury is used as a vaccine preservative, an extremely toxic metal that kills brain and nerve immune cells. This article says, as you can guess, the flu experts are always wrong. Most of the time they're way off. You see, they have to predict what strain of flu they have to make a virus. So they've got to know the future of what strain of flu is going to attack us in the next few months. And they're always wrong because there's so many different strains. And you can't make a one vaccine fits all. It doesn't work that way, not with things that are in the DNA. Any questions? No, good. Okay, thank you.